Hi there, my name's John O'Connor, and welcome back to the joys of storytelling. First off, let me extend a personal thank you for allowing me back in your home. And if this is your first time with us, please feel free to pull out your D20s and D8s and play along at home. Alright, so that was my impersonation of Bob Ross talking about D&D. That's a thing now. So, welcome back to Lexington. Today I wanted to talk about Myrmar and the interesting things about this city. Now, Myrmar is a location on my map that doesn't tangibly exist yet. I actually haven't put its focal point of where it's going to be on the map, and there's still a lot of loose ends. But I wanted to share with you the ideas that are going into making it. I got a list of some notes. We're going to go through them. They're kind of scattered, but as I get to each point, I'll explain a little bit more about it. First point on my list is repossessions limited. Now, the idea behind this guild is it's going to be the focal point where the characters meet. It's going to be their common thing. With this campaign, I told everybody, design your characters away from one another, so that the first game night, you're going to be meeting them for the first time. So, what's bringing them together? Well, in their questionnaires that they have to fill out and give to me before they can play their character, the last question is, why do you want to work for Repossessions Limited? Which, the idea behind this guild is, there's some light to medium dungeon crawling, they do a lot of fetch questing, there's hostage negotiating, they collect bounties, so it's really just a excuse for do whatever the hell you want. There's going to be some narrative missions down the line, once decisions are made, once plot hooks are taken or left to the side, but really for the first 3 to 4 sessions, I'm just going to let them do whatever the hell they want. And I've been building a back catalog of characters for them to meet, talk to, fight, negotiate with. So I'm really trying to create an open sandbox for them. And the first point of it is just giving them a common place to, okay, this is why all of you are meeting. And it's kind of I think, a better way to do character creation where you go, hey, I'm not just going to say you all randomly meet in the tavern. I'm going to tell you that there's a reason you all want to be here. Tell me that reason so that when we get to the first night, it's not, oh, the DM randomly threw you into something, it's you all willingly wanted to be here. So, next thing is I have written is Dwarves and Hobgoblins. In the community of Myrmar, Dwarves and Hobgoblins actually get along quite well. The idea behind it is that they make the backbone of the working class. They work in the warehouse districts, they forge weapons. The Hobgoblins, with respect, call the Dwarves the Anvil, while the Dwarves, with respect, call the Hobgoblins the Hammer. Both have their role, and both are crucial to making a lot of tools and developing things. Outside of the city, this mutual respect isn't really shared, but in the city and the surrounding communities, I guess, they've come to, okay, instead of fighting one another in pointless bloodshed, how about we make some money and split it right down the middle? So, in the name of business, they've put their differences aside and really come together and said, okay, this is what we have in common, a strong work ethic. Let's use that to both of our benefits. Alrighty. The Depraved Prince. This is a character who actually takes a little bit of my lore's back history to explain. So, 2nd grade age, the most evil of evil gods in my pantheon, Void Sigma, kills his father, marries his mother, and takes over the rest of the pantheon. Now, he did this by force. If you didn't follow him, you died. If you did follow him, you were rewarded. Well, one of the individuals who didn't follow him was the god of satyrs. Satyrs' patron deity. well, wiped out that god, and as punishment, he killed almost all the satyrs. Except for the ones that were either unlucky enough before this happened or smart enough afterwards to be imprisoned either in time, in, flesh to stone spells. So he was only able to slay the living ones. The ones that were inanimate objects, well, they were just inanimate objects. And so the depraved prince is one such satyr. Where his forest land used to be, it's been kind of demolished and turned into Myrmar. Well, now we're in the third great age of 1825, and missing his land, missing his people, he went to Lexington's Parliament a number of years ago and said, I deserve to be compensated. And through some negotiations and some agreements made, he was made the de facto prince of this, it's not really a capital, it's just a major metropolitan. Now, the title prince is completely honorary, and since the High King of Lexington figures there's no way you're going to find another satyr woman, and the crossbreeding is kind of iffy with your race, made him a prince. Gave him that title because he figures the bloodline will die out. But what the High King of Lexington didn't know is that the depraved prince had a couple of enchantments to give him not immortality but longevity. So here it is, 80 years later, 90 years later, after going to Parliament, he still looks a little before middle-aged. Just relaxing, ruling his little chunk of land, and kind of a pain in the central Lexington side. But Myrmar is going to be, if I had the map I would have already picked it, but unfortunately the map is not with me. It is in an apartment. It's not even in the apartment, it's outside of the apartment, about 60 miles away from here. And the apartment's under construction, so the map's kind of been, not lost, but just put away somewhere. But yeah, that's the basic idea, is that the satyrs were wiped out. Here's one representative of them, and he said, look, we deserve to be compensated for what happened to us in the Second Great Age. And the High King of Lexington says, okay, well, let's make you a prince. The depraved title, that's more story that the players are going to find out, so I'm going to leave why he's called that out in this video. I know that Carly likes to watch my videos, and I really don't want to give any one of my players a heads up on the story beforehand. The Lancaster family. Now, I haven't quite determined what their role is going to be, but they are the financial backbone. This is a family of halflings and humans who, once Myrmar was a basic rural community, years after the forest had kind of been plowed down, they made a living here farming for generations. And as more development came in and more land was bought, slowly but surely their farm was bought out. But instead of moving away, the family reinvested their money wisely, and now, generations later, they're sitting in a very powerful position in this particular city. They don't deal with any kind of trade directly, but their money is spread out evenly, that every time that somebody else is making a buck, they kind of are too. They're very much the definition of old money. Well, what do? Nothing. My money does the work. Here's a favorite. This is actually a trope from the last campaign that kind of fizzled out, but it was a great idea that kind of didn't get its moment to shine. The Dragoon Order of Oscar Olson. Semicolon here. Beast Hunting Chapter. Now, the Dragoon Order of Oscar Olson, on the west side of Lexington's map, they're a combination of a Knights Guild and FEMA. They're sent out to smaller communities as kind of a mercenary guild, They come with a couple of jobs that they personally take care of. They stay in the city for a little bit longer. They have some money that they put into the community sometimes. And the idea is that, like, after a natural disaster or after a raid of some sort, they come to these communities, assign people arbitrary jobs. Well, you're going to be a boar hunter for a while. You're going to be a short order cook, and they generate money in these places. Okay, you killed the boar. Well, now you're going to sell that boar to the butcher. We had a set price for how much we were going to pay you for killing the boar. Now we sell it to the butcher. The butcher makes some money. You get that too. They kickstart the economy back up. They stay there for 6 months, and once the city or village becomes self-sustaining again, they pack up, go back to wherever they came from, and wait for the next thing. Most of the time. Now, the beast hunting chapter is located in Myrmar. They send other people out from this location, but they're a permanent fixture of the city. What the beast hunting chapter does is they slay large game and magical beasts, as their title tells you. And they're going to actually have an interesting role in the city, since most major cities don't have monsters. They're just constantly going out. But they're kind of in this gray area where their men want glory in battle and, stories and stuff. So there's an abundance of small creatures littering the streets of Myrmar. And instead of taking care of it, because there's no glory in killing a couple imps, there's, oh wow, someone lost their unicorn and you found it, yay. There's not a lot of great stories to be had like that. So they have the big game list. It's a lot like a bounty list, but it's just with monsters. Kill this, retrieve that, bring this creature's that to us, or bring this creature alive to us. Jobs they've deemed too small and insignificant for them to actually do, they're paying out monetary rewards, and they go to the person who, hey, can you do this for me? And they still get to claim, hey, we did it. They paid somebody else to do it, but they still get the glory. So they get to save face without having to do the small jobs. They're acknowledged for, wow, no job's too unimportant for you. But really the people who work there don't do a damn thing. The Durancho. Now, in past campaigns, the Durancho is this force that fights the Fade. And if you don't know what the Fade is, you're not watching my videos. So, the Durancho is known as this guild that it has a bad reputation. Not because of its behavior, but because it's old guild. They were a reaction to the Fade. The Fade was a reaction to post-Lexington Jericho war feelings. So the Fade came out of a major war, and the understanding that, well, this country's government doesn't know what the hell it's doing. It's much like Rome. It's too large to control itself. So the Fade has been slowly trying to put political influences across the country. Toronto doesn't like that. Problem is, about 300 years ago, the Durancho destroyed the Fade. They took out a lot of the major players. Well, they are now given the glory of taking down the Fade, but the Fade wasn't gone. So they've slowly been rebuilding their army of, political influences, putting certain people in certain places. What makes these individuals so scary is that they don't have a deity they pray to. They don't have a central set of beliefs. They're very much about a long-term game that nobody else gets to see. So, not knowing their goals, not knowing what their end-all product's going to be, the Durancho just doesn't like them, wants to take them down. But here's the problem. They've already done that. They've already been credited with it. Now, in the last major campaign, the Durancho found Fade-sponsored individuals and took them down. But that was on the east side of the map. Here's the west side of the map. where the Durandro hasn't had that much glory. They haven't had that much exposure. So I get to show a different side of something the players once got to play. Whereas the players got to experience it as, oh my god, we actually are doing the greater good. Now they're going to see it as what other people see it as. You're a tired organization chasing phantoms that don't exist. Not to spoil anything that's coming down the pipeline, but I am not writing a major Fade or Durandro storyline. These characters, as far as the Durandro are concerned, are going to be present, but with no driving cause like the Fade to fight. They're going to look like a bunch of loons. So people are going to wonder, okay, what purpose do you serve? As far as other details, that's all my notes right there. I've been drawing out a map. I've shown it in another video. And I've been writing and just writing and writing. I have 50 districts in there, and I want to put at least one major NPC in each district. So when someone goes, well, I want to go here, well, here's a point of interest to go to. I'm also going to have about 12 roaming NPCs that, okay, well, I won't talk to just a random person on the street. They're not always, most of the time it's going to be something on the fly, but I want to have interesting NPCs that don't have a lot of backstory, but have a paragraph that is like, oh, well, that's enticing. So if they want to keep talking to this individual, I can build on it after that initial paragraph. I don't do more work than I have to, but I have a binder. Every NPC that is going to be around for more than a session, or going to be more than just someone to give general information, I like to always write out a character sheet for them. And you can imagine, as I've been DMing probably 3.5 years now, you accumulate a lot of character sheets. But the thing is, I never throw one away. So they're organized by level, and then once in their levels, the races and classes. So I can go through there at any given point and just flip through it and find somebody and be like, okay, well, I'm just going to recycle this character, and now you get to talk to them. I get to put whatever personality on this blank shell that I essentially have. I have the mechanics of a character ready to go, and I can put whatever personality on top of it that I want to. Little bit of a tip there. I know that a lot of people don't want to write out the character sheet, but honestly, there are some times that you're going to be fried as far as, okay, I don't have a lot planned, and you don't have the energy to be spontaneous. So it's nice to actually have that character sheet that you can go, okay, you pissed off this guy, and he's going to fight you now. And now you like, okay, this is his weapon, this is what he looks like. Everything's there for you except the personality. And especially about 2 years ago, we were actually role-playing segments of the Lexington-Jericho War. So I have a lot of character sheets that were, at the time, copy-paste because I was supposed to give the feel of a military thing where it was like, okay, these are standard issue spells, these are standard issue this. Now that we're quite a few campaigns down the road, because some have fizzled, some have played out quite a bit of time, we're probably about 3 campaigns away from when we were doing the Lexington-Jericho War. I've accumulated a lot of character sheets, and those elves who, they looked very generic and basic, I can now take one of those, bring it as a villain for the night or an interesting NPC, and all the work's done for me, so now all I have to do is add the personality. Really easy, really fun way to do things. But that's Myrmar as it is. As more updates become available, you'll probably, once we start playing that, of course there'll be segments in After the Dice, and I'm sure as I can start to work on build a better series, aspects of Myrmar will show up in there as I think about them and work on them. But as always, if you like what I'm doing, and you're enjoying these videos, they make you laugh, they make you think, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching, guys.